A bunch of crazy stories written by the Brothers Grimm. And now you're gonna learn all about them, listening to the Brothers Grimm.
Students and scholars, friends and relations, welcome to the Brothers Dim podcast, where we look at the beloved collection of fairy tales collected and written down by the Brothers Grimm in the early 19th century in Germany, including this week's story number 59, Frederick and Catherine. My name is Phil.
And my name is Mike.
Mike, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
Okay.
It's been a long month at work. We had I was just thinking we had an interesting science experiment in my house this evening.
Okay.
I came home from work and smelled something good, and Elliot comes running up and says, "Guess what we made?" And I said, "Cake? No. Brownies? No. Chocolate crinkle cookies." And I was like, "Oh, cool. I love chocolate crinkle cookies." They're in the oven.
Okay. What's a chocolate crinkle cookie?
Oh, it's like they're pretty straightforward to make. And like they're called so because you basically like throw a ball on the sheet pan, and then it like the bottom half kind of flattens out, and then the top kind of splits a little bit, like a nice loaf of sourdough.
All right. So a chocolate cookie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so they're cooking. I'm laying down on the floor with Juno, giving her some rubs and some loves. And Elliot takes them out of the oven and puts them up on the stovetop. Elliot had made them with a friend of theirs.
Okay.
Who apparently is a chef at 11.
Okay. Oh yeah, I was gonna say.
And I'm laying on the floor, and I look up at the stovetop where the pan is, and I say, and it suddenly clicks to me. I go, "We haven't had parchment paper in weeks." And it's I keep forgetting to put it on the grocery list. And I said, "Hey, Elliot, yeah, what did you put on the sheet pan with the cookies?" And they go wax paper. And I go, "That might be a problem." Why? Yeah. Well, if I put one of your candles in the oven at 350, what's going to happen? Oh, it's going to go away. I said, "Yeah, what do you think happens to the wax paper?" Well, no, that's different.
Yeah.
Nope. So we had a discussion about, is it safe or not? And I had to Google it, and it's like, absolutely do not bake with wax paper.
Yeah, no, 100% don't bake with wax paper. Fans of the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the wax is non-toxic.
It's safe to eat. Yeah, wax paper will burst into flames in an oven if if left to its own devices for long enough.
We didn't have a fire, so there's that.
Okay, very good. I have, if you don't mind, some alternate names for this story before I get to the grading. Would you like to hear them?
Do you? I would love to.
Yeah, story number 59, Frederick and his dumbass wife. Or story number 59, Amelia Bedelia Goes to Germany.
You got me with a mouthful of water.
Yeah, because that's all this shit is. And okay, but tell me what you say. You have a grade for this one. You like this one.
Well, I have a question. Do you think she ever tried to make cookies? And if so, how did it go? Was there wax paper involved? She burned the fucking
house down. It wasn't even wax paper or wax and parchment paper. That seems like a understandable mistake to make. This is not an 11-year-old. Well, actually, maybe it was Germany in the 1800s. Maybe this dude married an 11-year-old, and he's like, "Why is she so stupid?"
I'm thinking maybe it involves baking soda instead of salt because they didn't have any salt, and then she put them on tinfoil and cooked them in the microwave.
That
or just accurate.
There is some cookery that happens in this story already. So we can kind of see where she's at. And I'm guessing is just leave the cookies in the pan for a while and go out and do something else.
Well, we know what happens with that, though. That ends up being a problem, too. For a grade, this may be controversial, but I gave this an A+.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I loved this. It was very funny, very silly, and very dumb.
It was silly, but I thought repetitive. I gave it a high C, low B.
Huh.
So,
all right.
How about
this? Might be the most split we've been on something.
I don't think it's the most split we've been on something. I didn't like it clearly as much as you did, but
maybe we're talking each other into the B range.
I think I could be talked into an A because of the humor involved.
Yeah, I think by the time we're done talking about this, we'll both be laughing so hard that we may just call it a B.
We'll see how it goes, and we'll see what all of our fans that are listening, if you don't mind, Mike, I will walk us through the plot of Grimm story number 59, Frederick and Catherine.
Oh, do please.
Once upon a time, there was this dude named Frederick and his wife Catherine. Fred, one morning, leaves to go do his work and says, "Okay, woman, you best have dinner and a beer waiting for me on the table when I get back." She starts to fry a sausage and wants to kill two birds with one stone and says, "You know what? While the sausage is frying, I'm going to go fill this guy's beer, put both on the table at the same time. He's going to think I'm the best wife ever." She goes downstairs, turns on the tap, but forgets that they have a dog. The dog steals the sausage. Hearing this, she runs upstairs, goes after the dog. The dog leaves with the sausage, but the tap is still on. So now the sausage is gone.
Uh-oh.
All the beer is gone, and the basement is wet. So she dumps flour all over the floor to soak up the beer. Now they also don't have flour. Now Fred comes home, and there's no dinner, and there is no beer, and there is no dog. And this is starting to sound like a 90s country song. And there's flour all over the basement. And Catherine explains why she did everything. And Frederick realizes he married an idiot.
She also says, "You didn't tell me not to."
You didn't tell me not to do that. Or he either married an idiot or an 11-year-old. We're not sure.
Could have been a dumb 11-year-old.
No, that's true. But he thinks, shit, okay, this woman can't be trusted. And here I am, this person with all this gold. This is my fortune. I'm going to figure something out. So he tells the wife, he's like, "Okay, you know, all this gold that you've seen here, these are just game pieces. So don't worry about them. Don't touch them. I'm going to go bury them up yonder cow patch."
But don't touch them.
They're worthless, but I'm going to bury them. You're not allowed to touch them. So, like, some ruffians come by, pandering. They're begging for money. And Catherine says, "Listen, I don't have any money, but if you want, there's a couple game pieces up yonder cow patch."
They're yellow.
They're yellow. That my husband was talking about. He said, "There's game pieces up there. I'm not to worry about them, but I can't go get them. But you're more than welcome to them. Have fun." So they get all the gold and fuck off. Frederick comes home, notes that there's a big hole in the cow patch. So what happened?
Catherine?
So people came pandering. I told them that all your Game Boy pieces were up in yonder cow patch, and so I sent them up there to get them. And Frederick's like, "Oh no! What do we do?" And that was all of our fortune. And Catherine says, "Oh, you didn't tell me that. Can we just go get it? Can we just follow them?" And Frederick's like, "Well, I guess we're gonna have to." So off they go. They set off in pursuit of these guys with a packed lunch. Catherine falls behind and sees the sorry state of the road. It's a lot of ruts and cracks. Part of their packed lunch was butter. And so she starts smearing butter into the ruts to keep them nice and lubed up and greasy.
So the wagon wheels won't hurt them.
So the wagon wheels won't hurt the earth. And while she's doing that, she drops all of her cheese, the first roll of cheese, and rolls down the hill. And she's like, "Oh, I'll send the second roll of cheese to go get the first, and then they'll both come up." Second cheese does not go get the first. She's like, "I think the third cheese will go get them both." Nope, cheese doesn't do that. So Fred comes back, catches up to her. She's like, "Oh, where's all the butter and the cheese?" She says, "Oh, here's what happened. I greased the road and the cheese ran away." Fred says, "It occurs to me just now. Did you lock the door when we left?" She says, "No."
You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me to.
You didn't tell me not to. And he says, "Fair enough. Run back home, lock the door, come back here, and we'll figure things out.
And bring back more food."
Catherine says, "Okay." So she goes. She locks the top part of the door, which it's apparently a split door. Doesn't know what to do with the bottom part, but decides to take it with her. Grabs a bunch of dried pears and a bottle of vinegar. Says, "This will make for a good dinner." And I'm going to bring the in the door.
Well, to be fair, they're out of sausage and beer.
They're out of a lot of stuff. Catherine catches up to her husband and says, "Here's what I brought." And he just looks at it and he's like, "Ugh, all right. Well, it's getting late. Let's climb up this tree and we'll sleep in the tree," which is a thing that happens a lot in Grimm.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder about Germany.
Yeah.
In general. Like, is that a safe place to sleep? Is it
like the Hunger Games?
Yeah. similarly to the Hunger Games, something does happen.
Yeah.
The very same ruffians and peddlers that took all of their gold pieces set up camp underneath the tree that they are sleeping in. So Catherine and him, essentially, there's a lot of paragraphs about this, but what they do is they chuck a bunch of things at them until those guys leave. They do, scared that the devil has been throwing things at them.
Satan.
Frederick and Catherine climb down the tree and see, oh, they left all of their gold. We got our fortune back, and let's go home. So off they go home. The next day,
The end.
no, not quite, my friend.
Nope.
The next day, Frederick says, Catherine, okay, you know what? You're going to have to, I'm very tired. You're going to have to go do the work for the day. So
You need to get a job.
you need to get a job. Off you go. She goes, she works for the day. She comes back, and Frederick's like, I've never met this woman in my life. And she's like, what do you mean you haven't met me? I'm your wife. And he's like, I've never met you. And she's like, oh, no, maybe
I'm not
wrong.
me.
No. And he's like, yeah, well, anyways, bye. And she says, okay. She wanders off and she meets the ruffians. And Mia says, listen, I've just been divorced, I guess, and I'm looking to join a gang. They say, well, yeah, you know what? Come along with us. But they very quickly figure out she's an idiot. And then they tell her, okay, look, here's our big plan for the gang. You go and you pick turnips in that field over there forever. And she goes, okay. And then the ruffians split. And then, apropos of nothing, a dude sees her picking turnips, assumes it's the devil, goes and gets the pastor, who also assumes she's the devil, and they both run off. The end.
And she's in the field to this day.
Yeah. What are you in juvie for? Well, I was stealing turnips from Pastor Brown's farm.
Also
Opening
in the
thoughts.
devil.
Yeah. Opening thoughts, Mike.
Oh God. I relayed this story in all its detail to my oldest on the drive back to the house, and he was in hysterics. Thought it's just like,
Yeah.
what? Like there's no magic, there's no talking animals. It's
No.
just a very dumb woman and a guy who's exasperated. Do you have a moral here?
I do. Don't just marry the first person you date.
Yeah.
Get to know someone before you marry them. I myself dated Amanda for 3 years before we got engaged, and we lived together for like 2 years.
You gotta know what you're getting into. I have a flip side moral.
Okay.
If you find yourself trapped in a marriage with an idiot, you can just pretend you don't know them.
I agree. If you if you find out that you're married to a woman or a man with an Amelia Bedelia brain, just get out, man. You like, it sucks to get divorced, I assume. I've never been divorced. I imagine it's terrible, but you know what? I got to do what's best for me. And having kids with this woman is just not the way to go. That said, you know what? I will. Here's what I think. If you want to go with me on this for a grade, I'll call it an A because I was laughing a lot as I was describing the story. So if
I
you want,
I don't want to drag you too far up.
I think solid A.
Okay.
Do you have any other notes?
So a couple things that were interesting. One is that she actually sasses him in the beginning when he's like, "Oh, you better have my lunch and a beer on the table when I get back," and she's like, "Whatever, fine, yeah, no, don't worry about it. I got it covered."
Yeah.
You can tell later on he knows exactly what's going to happen.
No, absolutely. I'm gonna go make all the money. All I'm asking for you is just when I get home, just have a beer. And at this point, he shouldn't even have asked for that.
Right.
Get the sausage made.
Don't ask for two things.
I'll walk the fuck down all the way downstairs. Pour my own beer because I know at this point you're just gonna be incapable of this.
My the first thing that made me really laugh was when they first set out walking. It says they set out, and as Frederick was the better walker, Catherine followed him. It is to my advantage, thought she, for when we turn back, I shall be a little way in advance.
Yeah.
She's already thinking, like when they stop and turn to go back home, she's already closer to home than he is.
Without
she's actually
realizing,
gonna have to travel a little less than him.
Yeah, without realizing though, like this was my idea, and we're gonna have to confront these ruffians. But I'll be 20 feet away.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
Well, put the husband in front.
Oh my God.
I do have to say, you sold her short. She actually had 6 cheeses. The first one rolled out down the hill.
Okay.
She sent the second one out to get it. It did not fetch the first cheese. She thought maybe they were lonely and didn't want to walk back alone, so she sent the third one. That didn't bring them back either, so she sent the fourth one to call them. When that didn't work either, she got angry and just threw the fifth and sixth down the hill,
Sure.
just out of spite.
Yeah.
Do you remember Clever Elsie?
Yes.
Which was a similar one. It's shades of that at the end. I think you glossed over it a little bit, but she's out in the field. She has a snack and then gets sleepy, and she falls asleep while she's working. And so as she's waking back up, she's cuts her clothes to ribbons, so she's already half naked in the field too.
Yeah.
And it's pitch black, so she goes to the house and knocks because it's Frederick locked the door, and she's like, "Is Catherine in?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, she's here." And she's like, "Oh shit, I'm not me. Damn it."
I was going to bring that up. Yes, I do remember that because as I was reading this, I said like, oh, I 100% remember there's a wife that just knocks on the door and is like, hey, am I home? And exasperated husband is like, no, my
home?
wife's
Yes.
home. You're not her though. Which is some real, there's a scene in Idiocracy where Luke Wilson gets sent to jail. He goes and then immediately says, oh, I guess I'm supposed to get out today, actually. And they're like, oh, well, you're supposed to be in that line. And he's like, okay. Escapes.
I've still never seen that movie.
Oh, it's really good.
I recently read,
Okay.
it has to be an urban legend, but is it true that Crocs were invented for the movie because they wanted shoes that looked like idiot shoes?
No.
Okay.
But Crocs had been invented. They weren't popular. And Mike Judge saw them and was like, oh, man, this is the de-evolution of our society is going to end up with everyone wearing Crocs. He thought it would be funny, but then they became a very popular thing after, which were actually worked for the movie.
Huh. So I'm looking it up because I was reading while you were talking, but it is sort of true. The costume dresser was looking for something that looked futuristic but terrible.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was.
Okay. Moving on. I have concepts of a pitch idea.
Yeah.
Not a full pitch idea, if you
All
would
right.
like to hear.
I would.
Okay. You have an incel type dude, and he's got his waifu, which I have the definition here. A waifu is a term used to refer to a fictional female character with whom one is infatuated. So if you really like, I name any female character, a fictional female character.
Dora the Explorer.
Dora the Explorer. So yeah, if you were infatuated with Dora the Explorer, you could make her your waifu, I guess. Assuming, I'm not sure what the ages have to be.
Yeah, I threw
For
Dora the Explorer
legality.
out there just to be gross.
Depending on what country you're in.
Anyway, off topic.
Okay. So this guy, and we're going to call him Mr. Neat. NEET, by the way, NEET is an acronym for not in education, employment, or training. That's another word for incel type dudes. He's obsessed with a cartoon or a comic, something in which his whatever his waifu is in, whatever anime, right, or manga, buys a sex doll of her. And then he wishes upon a star that his waifu would come to life, just like Pinocchio, right? Though really it was just a software update for the AI in the doll. And he doesn't realize what happened. And he thinks it's magic, but this waifu of his, this waifu sex doll of his is just is now AI. Unfortunately, she's a moron because A, she isn't human, and B, AI is really bad at the moment. So she's terrible, loses all his money, all around destroys his life. So finally, he tries to rid himself of her, which she does not appreciate. And so she becomes the devil, as it were, and just hunts him down and kills him.
I like it. Little revenge story too.
Little revenge story on the part of the sex doll. Like, oh, you did this to me. You begged for me to be alive. And then you didn't like me when I was. And I don't mind the idea of killing an incel neat fella. I apologize if that's the majority of our fan base. I don't think so.
They'll get over it. It's a little Westworld, a little bit like the Crow from last week.
Sure, yeah. I like revenge stories. It turns out for the last couple of weeks. I don't know why, but anyway.
Which reminds me, speaking like I was thinking of this after last week's is I just saw there's a trailer out for a new John Wick, but it's starring Ana de Armas as the new John Wick, and it's called Ballerina. I guess maybe she's a ballerina or something, but I think it's basically going to be Ana de Armas going all John Wick on people. Could be good.
I do enjoy a good action film of just like, well, you stole my dollar. I shall kill you and everyone you love.
I
And
shall end
just
your bloodline tonight.
yeah. And you shall know the taste of my blade.
I don't know why, but I just had in my head, it's like Speed 2, but on a bus. I had to explain that one to my kids the other day. Like
Speed 3, back to the bus.
it's like one of those great jokes that it's got a couple different layers. And like it's one of those where like you might have just never really thought about it before, but when you actually think about it, it's like, oh man, that's really good.
It's a solid joke.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anyway.
And with that solid joke, I'm at the end of any notes or anything else that I have for this story.
Same here.
Okay, well, if there's nothing left to say about the story, I think we maybe can call it. Before we do that, however, Mike, is there a way for anyone to contact us if they have any thoughts they wish to share, perhaps have those thoughts shared on a future episode, or if they want, come along and join us on an episode of the Brothers Dim podcast if they want to be a guest star?
Absolutely. That would be lovely. We can, as always, be reached at brothersdimpodcast@gmail.com. And we're also on Blue Sky at Brothers Dim.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mike. And thanks to all of our fans for listening. This has been story number 59, Frederick and Catherine. Sleep tight, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.